What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Turf Talk. On this Sunday edition, I am joined by no other than my co-host, as always, Scotty. Give him a follow on Twitter at ScottyDrowned. And, of course, the third member of Team DSM Media at the bottom, my co-host on the Faithful Fanatic Show, Matt McGinty. Give him a follow on Twitter at Matt_McGinty. And we are Team DSM Media. So if you're new to the channel, if you're new to us, head on over to at DSM_Media. You can see it at the bottom of your screen right now. Give us a follow. And check out our link tree in our bio. We are on every social media platform imaginable. So check us out wherever you get your podcast or your social media content. And just thank you for tuning in. So if you want to be active during the show, head on over to our Facebook or YouTube channel. We will be able to interact with you through the comment section there. Twitter is still giving us a little bit of issues and streaming issues, so we cannot pull the comments from Twitter up there. But boys, how was everyone's Christmas?
Well, it was good.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling fine now. I'm waking up a little bit more, but woke up a little on the hungover side, but we're getting there.
Scotty?
Yeah, man. I honestly had a pretty great Christmas, but yeah, I'm still feeling a little drowsy. Went a little too hard on the Modelo curve, so. We were up until like 3 a.m. last night, drinking modes and just watching highlights like idiots. But Christmas was great, man. I got a new mic. I didn't get to set it up yet, but that's exciting. And then got a lot of sports memorabilia. So I got like this nice Kentucky Tyrese Maxey signed, like autographed picture, which is like it's like this fucking big, but it's nice because it's Kentucky. So if he ever gets traded from Philly, I don't have to worry about it. I like Maxey a lot. You just never know what's going to happen. So it is good that it's his college edition.
Again, was Sandy Claus you?
Yeah, man. I got a bunch of stuff. It was overall a good day. Good spending time with the family as well. And I'm off for the first weekend, and God knows how long. So
I'm off till Wednesday.
There we go.
I can't believe it, but what's the name? Yeah, I'm 23 years old, going on 24 years old, and Santa Claus apparently still thinks I'm like 11 and likes to spoil. So hey, I'll take it for as long as we can get it, right? If anyone out there is good with podcasting technology and wants to let me know how the hell to connect and get this soundboard to work through my Mac and into StreamYard, be my guest and help me out, because it's on. It works. Hear the sound effects through my headphones. Can't get it to you guys through StreamYard, so we'll figure that out. Didn't want to try to screw up anything on today's show, so we'll roll without it. But, guys, Week 16 is upon us. Obviously, 3 games to discuss. We have Thursday Night Football, 2 Christmas Day games, which, Scotty, your boy, 2-0. Scotty went 1-1 in the Pigskin Picks yesterday because Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts upset the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. So before we get into anything from today's slate, I guess we can start right then and there. You sent me a couple texts last night, probably 92 beers deep, but I received a couple Carson Wentz is that dude text. I also saw it tweeted out from Matt at Matt_McGinty. So start with you. If you can remember last night's ball game, what did you think of that game? I guess I'll throw this to you guys. What is up with the Arizona Cardinals?
That's a great question. And me and Scotty talked about it a little bit last time I was on Turf Talk, that they were kind of on this downward spiral, and it only got steeper last night. I know they lost DeAndre Hopkins. I didn't think that would be to the point where they dropped 2 in a row, one being to the Lions. So I don't really know what's going on. The defense doesn't look that good, and the offense can't really put up points. 16 points last night, 12 points the week before. They're not really getting that void where DeAndre Hopkins was. He doesn't really have his go-to guy, I guess, to say the least.
Yeah, the offense, they just look confused. They look like they don't know what they're doing. Without that go-to guy, it's amazing what it can make an offense look like. And, I had been saying coming into this game that, if Kyler Murray uses his legs, maybe that can open the offense back up. He's kind of got away from that this season. He did last night. He had close to 75 rushing yards. He had that huge 50-plus yard run. Still just wasn't enough. That was enough to get them on the board, but, it wasn't enough to make them, completely competitive in this game. And not to mention, like, the Colts, their defense, they were missing oh my God, what is his Darius Leonard, their main defensive player, one of the best linebackers in the league. He's all over the field. They were missing him last night, and the Cardinals still couldn't do anything. And then, not to mention, the Colts offensive line was missing as well. So Jonathan Taylor still ran straight through them. He went over 100 yards again, didn't get in the end zone, which is surprising. But, Carson Wentz, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the key statistic is no interceptions. Yeah. That's the biggest thing, not turning the ball over, not making dumb mistakes. Because we know, Mark, you threw that up there. We know Carson can make the throws. He has superior arm talent. We know that. So it's about his decision making, and that's what it comes down to. And simply put, in this game, he was on top of it. Kyler Murray, no turnovers on his end either. It's a pretty clean game both ways. But the Colts just seem to have an identity, and the Arizona Cardinals do not.
So a few things, Scotty, you and I talked about this on Thursday night show, I believe, with the Cardinals and DeAndre Hopkins. It shouldn't make that much of a difference, but when you think about the rest of their core, it kind of does, because you put that core all together. DeAndre Hopkins is the number 1 wide receiver. He's top 3 in the league, right? You add AJ Green to that. You add Christian Kirk to that. Rondale Moore's done out there. It all looks nice together. You take away component number 1. Now an aging AJ Green is your number 1 option. Now Christian Kirk is a number 1 or number 2 option, not your number 3 slot receiver. So the whole dynamic of that offense changes. It's not. I don't want to say it. I'm taking anything away from Kyler Murray, but it is a little bit worrisome when you think of how he was ascending early in this year and how they were 9-1, 8-1, whatever they were. He was playing at an MVP type level, and I know that's a big loss. I know losing D-Hop is huge, but the great ones still make things happen. And this team has lost 3 in a row. They have the Cowboys on the road next week. Then they finish up with Seattle, a divisional opponent who's going to want to, play hiccup there and try to knock the Cardinals down in the standings or whatever it may be in the playoff contention. So the Cardinals are in in trouble right now, I think, because they're not. DeAndre Hopkins isn't coming back, guys. He's done for the year. So there is no hope that DeAndre Hopkins comes back. You mentioned the defense. They only gave up 22 points last night, but in the previous 2 losses, they gave up 30+. And in the Carolina loss a few weeks before that, they gave up like 34. So this defense is not playing, how it looked week 1 against Tennessee and how they looked early in the year. On the other side of things with the Colts, Scotty, Jonathan Taylor still did what Jonathan Taylor did. He ran for $108, but they made him earn that. Like he carried the ball 27 times for 108. They kept him out of the end zone. The Cardinals defense pretty much did its job last night, but Kyler and the offense couldn't get it done. And when a play needed to be made, shout out, if I could hit my applause button right now, I would. Carson Wentz made a big time throw, and that throw was some I think Gint, you texted me right after it. That throw was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I couldn't. It was cool to see a quarterback.
It didn't make sense. The physics behind it did not make sense. Going to your left, shoulder kind of cocked back like this, and just a flick of the wrist on a rope to the back of the end zone to a moving target. He made a play, and Scotty, to your point was probably the key to the Colts winning that game. He didn't turn the ball over. He played within himself. He was 18 of 28, threw for over 200 yards. Got his team in the end zone twice, and he made plays when he needed to make plays. Outside of that, I think it's more so telling of the Cardinals' troubles than the Colts. But the Colts are going to be in the playoffs, and they're fighting for a division title right now. Yeah,
they're very much alive. I think you hit all the nails on the head there with the Cardinals. They look undermanned. The Colts definitely looked like the better team last night. And you mentioned the turnovers. The completely clean game by Carson and the Colts. And you look at this game, and that's the only thing that could have turned it in Arizona's favor is a turnover that puts them in good field position. It's sad because their offense does. It looks limited. I was looking at Kyler Murray last night, and I was thinking, I see it in the comments there. I was thinking, maybe he is overrated. Like he does look really small out there, like for a quarterback, an NFL quarterback. He looks tiny. And obviously size, like it's not everything at the quarterback position, but when you're looking at him out there amongst men and he's just getting overpowered, like what is he supposed to do in these situations where he's overmanned? He just doesn't seem like the type of guy that can like take over a game, but he's been in and out of the lineup this year. So maybe we're all overreacting here right now with Kyler Murray. We'll have to wait and see, but it does not look good. I mean, you can give them the excuse it's the Colts. Colts are going to be a playoff team. They're, right there with Tennessee right now. Tennessee got a huge W, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
But they lost to the Lions the week before. So, like, that doesn't just go away. Like, yeah, you came out, you gave a decent game to the Colts last night, but you still lost to the Lions the week before, so you needed to win that game.
Oh, listen.
And now the pressure is on. Like, the Rams are up their ass right now. And the 49ers are going to die down a little bit with that loss, but the Rams are right there, and all the pressure is going to just steadily increase on Kyler Murray and that offense. So yeah, it sucks. But shout out to Ertz. He was the leading target getter for the Cardinals last night, so he should see an increased volume.
There's no moral victories for Arizona right now. There are no moral victories when you were 9-1 at one point. 9-1 running away. I think the Rams were 6-3, 7-3. You had a 2.5, 3-game lead over LA for your division. Kyler was playing MVP type football. People were saying, Scotty, how many weeks in a row were they number one in our power rankings? Like, this is a Super Bowl contending team. They go out there for Zach Ertz and a reliable pass catcher over the middle of the field. They keep adding. And it's like, it's just a downward trajectory ever since. There is no, okay, well, we played good against the Colts. You're home. You're supposed to take care of business down the stretch. The other game last night, when you want to talk about two quarterbacks, one playing within themselves, one playing without themselves, if you just go on and I'm on the box score right now. If you just click Browns, Packers, back and forth, it'll make you laugh. Baker Mayfield, 21 of 36, 222 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 5 sacks. Click 24 of 34, 202, 3 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 0 sacks. In a 24-22 ball game, playoff hopes on the line, on the road, Christmas Day. How do you toss 4 picks yesterday? Scotty, before the season started, I know a lot of people like this tearing at Baker, on social media. Before the season started, I was pretty high on the Browns. Thought the Browns were going to be kind of in that AFC mix to contend for the AFC. And I said, Baker took a step last year, but he wasn't able to make that the play at the end of the game. Can he do that this year? We saw him struggle with that early in the year with a couple late game interceptions. And now it's like he doesn't even give the Browns a chance. And they still only lost by 2. So
and had the ball and had an actual chance to win the game. I know people are going to say, obviously, there was a pass interference, which it was, but he tossed 3 before that as well. He did his justice on making sure they didn't win that game.
Yeah, so, I mean, when you're looking at the Browns, a game like this just shows you how good they could be if they did have, good quarterback play. And, Baker Mayfield, it's so funny because I can't help but circle back to the OBJ thing. And I just remember when OBJ finally got released from the Browns and the Browns had won a game or 2. Yeah. Their offense looked good. It wasn't a great win. It was against a bad team. Everybody's like, look, the Browns offense and Baker Mayfield looks so much more confident without that locker room cancer out there. And now you look at that offense, and obviously they run the ball very well. Chubb did his job yesterday. He was even in the passing game as well. He was the leading receiver. Name a receiver on this team? We talk about the receivers on the Eagles. I mean, they got Rashard Higgins. He's a main target out there. Jarvis Landry, sure. This guy looks old. I don't. He can only make he makes a play and then he has to go sit out for 5 plays. And the only reason I know this is because I have him on fantasy and I started him yesterday. So I'll see him get in a groove. He'll make a catch or 2, and then boom, he's out for the rest of the series. Like, so I'm looking around and I'm like, you guys threw OBJ out like he was a piece of garbage. And now what do you have? And I look around that offense, but I'm not giving Baker that excuse because he was kind of the leading pioneer with OBJ leaving the team. So you kind of get what you deserve. And now Baker Mayfield, the Packers defense isn't that great, right? Tyler Huntley just went off on that defense last week for the Ravens. So you come out, you throw 4 interceptions, and a lot of these throws, sure, the last one, pass interference, but once again, where are you going with the play? Like, it was still not a great throw. Like, it's still going to be a highly contested ball. And so even the ones before that were just like terrible decisions. So I'm looking at Baker Mayfield with a lot of question marks, but I also understand he doesn't have a lot of weapons out there to work with either. I mean, you talk about the tight ends, Njoku and Hooper, and then Harrison Bryant. These are all like middle of the pack tight ends. None of these guys are at the top of their game anymore. So I'm looking at that Browns team. I don't think they're going to win that division now, obviously. I think you blow consecutive games like this that are super close against the Raiders, against now the Packers too. They're not going to win that division. They're probably not going to make the playoffs. And that's a complete disappointment this season. Me and Dylan, I know on Turf Talk, and I know Gint, you're probably on the same boat. I had those guys at the top of the league, at the top of the AFC this season. I didn't see the Bengals coming in and taking over for Cleveland. Even Pittsburgh, is looking like a similar caliber team as Cleveland. And I just didn't see that coming into this season. I thought they were way better than that. I thought they were contenders.
The Cardinals and Browns have they're kind of in a similar spot in terms of they need to find some sort of identity. The Browns have one of the best duos. I know Kareem Hunt didn't play last night, but they have one of the best duos in the NFL at the running back position. Scotty mentioned they're probably not going to make the playoffs. One of the Bengals or Ravens are going to get a 9th win today. They'll be 2 games back of them. I don't even know what their season splits are, but in this offseason, they're going to have a lot of questions. How they're going to upgrade the wide receiver position. Do they go forward with Baker next year? Because that's definitely a question up to this point, which I didn't think coming into this year would be a question at the end of this season, what they were going to do at the quarterback position.
No, I agree with you. And you mentioned the Bengals probably making the playoffs over the Browns. What does that say? Like, forget just 2021. What happens going forward? The Bengals are so far ahead of the script, right? Like, Burrow and that offense is so high powered that they're able to win games. They shouldn't be where they are right now fighting for the AFC North. They're too young. They're going to be here for a while. The Browns the Browns were supposed to be, okay, we have a little bit of a window now. We're going to be in that AFC dogfight with the Chiefs of the world and the Bills of the world, right? It was like those 3. And if you can't get that done, I know they battled a lot of injuries. You had the OBJ mess like Scotty talked about, and then you moved them. You battled COVID a ton this year. You had a game moved. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, all the rest of the National Football League has had to deal with similar issues. And no other, top dog is suffering the way I think the Cleveland Browns are suffering. They're not going to make the playoffs. And when you look past 2021, where do you go? Like, how can you confidently say we're going to move forward with Baker Mayfield? Because what did I say about Kyler Murray a few minutes ago? Kyler, when the components are all around him, the playmaking, it's fun, it's there, they're winning ball games. You take away a key piece, he can't overcome it. So it seems right now. Baker doesn't seem to be able to elevate anybody. Baker seems great in a system. Play action, run the ball down your throat with that 2-headed monster, like you said, Gint. Defense, play well, stop the run, force turnovers. Baker can make a couple plays. But now Baker doesn't have any weapons, and he's trying to push the ball down the field, and he's throwing 4 interceptions in a key game. How can you confidently move forward with Baker Mayfield next year? I think the answer is that you cannot. I don't know the alternative for Cleveland, but if Cleveland brought in a competent quarterback, are they not playoff? Or are they not Super Bowl contenders? I'm not saying they're not calling them Super Bowl favorites, but they're not in the conversation.
No, I definitely agree with you. They have a big decision to make. And then is it a Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers type, or do they kind of hit the reset button? But I definitely think they'll be in the market for a quarterback in free agency. And then it'd be interesting to kind of see where Baker kind of lands at that point. Because one of these teams will scoop him up, whether it's a Houston or some sort of that matter. So the Browns, like you said, we won't see them in the playoff picture. I don't think so. We'll be moving on.
So Mark said, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I don't know.
No, he's a free agent in 2023.
20. Okay, so they still have a little bit of time with them, but yet the second part of your comment, I agree with Mark. If he's coming off a contract, if they have to decide now what to do, they definitely have to rethink it, because you cannot forget, like, even moving on with him, you cannot lock him up to any long-term, big money type of deal with Baker Mayfield. Hopefully we get Scotty back in a few moments. I'm sure we will. But again, before we move on to today's action, there he is. Let's bring him in before I get to this question. Could be some Wi-Fi issues. There we go. Good?
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't even the Wi-Fi. It was like my laptop restarted. Which is annoying.
That's no worries, bro. All right, so Scotty, I was saying again, before we move on to today's slate, Thursday Night Football. Titans get a huge win at home over the Niners. Just any quick thoughts on that game? Obviously huge for Tennessee in terms of keeping that lead over the Colts, because Indy keeps piling up wins. Kind of not a dagger to San Fran, because they're still in a nice position to get a wild card spot. But now you got to fight a little bit more, because that's a loss maybe you shouldn't have had. Scotty, I'll throw this to you first. Thursday night Turf Talk, I said I trust Jimmy G more so in a game like this than Ryan Tannehill. I think I got proved a little bit wrong. I take back some of those words there. What did you see anything from that game?
So I guess the first things first, you hit the nails on the head as far as, huge game for Tennessee. And, I guess the big thing in this matchup that I'm looking at, aside from the quarterback play, is the wide receiver one play. So you basically had a duel of A.J. Brown versus Deebo Samuel. And ultimately, A.J. Brown ended up winning that duel. But, I mean, that was spectacular to see that level of physicality and that type of possession wide receiver play that we were seeing from A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel. These guys are the class of the NFL when you're talking about wide receiver and skill sets. But when I'm looking at this game, San Fran, it's a tough loss. The Titans are a physical team. The A.J. Brown was a boost for the Titans, and I think that's something that we may have undervalued coming into this game. And I was with you. I said it too. I said I trust Jimmy G more right now than Ryan Tannehill. So, of course, with the NFL not making a ton of sense this season, that comes out and happens. Jimmy G looks suspect. He threw for over 300 yards, but the 2 interceptions, he probably should have had more than 2 interceptions in reality. Just looked like questionable decision-making. And these are the same question marks we've been asking about Jimmy for a while now. And it's why San Fran went out and drafted Trey Lance, because you just can't trust him, right? He's inconsistent in these big moments. He tends to do this sometimes. So San Fran, like you said, they're not out of it. They still have a great shot at making the playoffs, but they're definitely out of that division talk right now. There was a little bit of room there that if they didn't take this loss, they could have worked back in there with maybe a win against the Rams in the final game of the season. Now you're just trying to secure that 6th or 7th seed or 5th seed. No, they can't get the 5th seed, excuse me. So the 6th or 7th seed, they're trying to secure it now, and they are in the driver's seat. But those question marks are re-arising, and that's not a good thing. But love Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown. That's my main takeaway.
So real quick, I'll throw this again. Mark says Ryan Tannehill is 33 years old and his numbers are down. Without Derrick Henry, they aren't going much further than a division win. Now, Mark, I want to preface this by saying I agree with you. But shout out to a friend of the show, Paul Hembekides Gint. 2 days ago, after the win, he tweets, "The Titans have 6 wins against the current playoff field, most in the NFL, and yet still overlooked. Are we not giving enough credit to this team? 6 wins against the rest of the playoff field right now in the NFL. Can they make noise in the playoffs?"
I'll let you go.
That's a really good stat. I would love to see it pre-Henry injury,
right,
to see how many wins of those were with him. But the thing with the Titans, man, is we mentioned Ryan Tannehill throws for 209 yards, and A.J. Brown catches for 145 of that. That's basically 70% of his yards. They need to get something out of somebody else. The rushing game is minuscule, and how much do they trust Ryan Tannehill to win them a ball game? I mean, I know he did it on Thursday, but A.J. Brown was special on Thursday. And how much can you rely on a guy like literally just throwing to one target? Julio Jones, 1 catch, 7 yards. We talked about coming the season. Yeah. These two might be one of the best pairing wide receivers in the NFL of all time, and he has been a non-factor to say the minuscule amount. But that's my thing is, where are they going to get production outside of AJ Brown? Because AJ Brown hasn't even had a wow type of year. This week was just a wow week. I know he strung a couple good ones together the last couple of weeks, but they have to figure out another way because obviously Derrick Henry's done, and Julio Jones honestly looked like cooked goods, to say the least.
I'm with you. And two guys that we've spoke on today, by the way. I'm in the first round of fantasy football playoffs today. I finished in first place. Derrick Henry, out. DeAndre Hopkins, out. Austin Eckler still on the COVID list, guys?
Yep.
He's out playing today.
Yeah, Austin Eckler, out. Harrison Butker, COVID list, right? Yeah, out. I mean, do I just want to keep piling on the damn names of guys that I'm missing in the first round of playoffs? Probably not going to be a very fun day, but shout out to your boy Deebo Samuel, Scotty, who gave me 20 on Thursday night. All right, let's move on to today's slate of games, and we will start right here. Philadelphia Eagles at home against the New York Giants. Obviously, a lot to get into today, guys, because we know what played out a few short weeks ago in New York. The worst loss of the Eagles season. I'm pretty sure we can confidently say that, right? The worst loss of their season, only putting up 7 points. The worst performance of Jalen Hurts' young career. Obviously, we know what kind of performance Jalen Hurts is coming off of on Tuesday night. Let's start with just what the Eagles need to do defensively, because the offense is where this conversation is going to be fully loaded. Defensively, you get Jake Fromm starting for New York. Now, let me ask you guys this, because I forget who tweeted this, but it brought up a good point. I know it's Jake Fromm. Sounds like a joke. Is that more worrisome than if they kept Mike Glennon starting? I think so.
Yeah.
I'd
rather
face Mike Glennon than Jake Fromm, right?
Yeah, I think I would too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Mike Glennon has the worst starting record of backups in the NFL history. I'm pretty sure. I read a stat about that or something.
So let's start with the Eagles' defensive front. Scotty and Gint, how will the Eagles create pressure against Jake Fromm and this Giants offensive line? Do you think Jonathan Gannon pins his ears back and says, get after him today? Rookie quarterback, they're done. They took out Daniel Jones for the rest of the year. They're packing it in. Or do you think he's going to just try to make this front four get home by themselves?
Go ahead, Scotty.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. It seems like my screen is freezing here again. Can you hear me?
I can.
I'll go ahead then. Yeah. We saw it last week. We saw it last week with the Washington game. It looked like in the second half, Jonathan Gannon dialed up the pressure, and the Eagles kind of took control of the game when he did that. I think he picks up right where he left off, dials up a lot of pressure, gets to Jake Fromm. Fun fact for you, Jake Fromm was in the Little League World Series. Just a side note, but dial up a bunch of pressure. We got to create turnovers. This guy is not a starter in the NFL. So that's
I'm with you, but I guess the point of me asking that is because we know what he should do. We know what should happen today. But for whatever reason, it's like one coordinator figured things out, and he stuck to it pretty consistently over the last month and a half, 2 months. The other coordinator starts games off with me pulling my hair out, like, what are you doing? And then somewhere along the line, he maybe puts something together and he starts dialing up a pressure here and there. Dude, I'm not asking you to just go on Madden and hit engage 8 and just send the house every 2 plays. Like, I'm not asking for that. But here and there, show a different look. Throw another guy in the box. Bring up a safety. Throw something different at this kid, because he's not prepared for the moment. Again, this is playoff atmosphere. If not for one team, for the home team, okay? So he's got to walk into this situation. Eagles fighting for a playoff spot right now, must-win game. And you cannot allow this kid to just sit back in a clean pocket, get through his reads, and deliver the ball accurately. You cannot allow that. You cannot just sit back and throw zone at him all game long. You have to mix it up with man, zone, single high safety, whatever it is. Throw different looks at this kid. Scotty, how are we? Confused we look.
No, and Dylan, you're right. Don't let him get comfortable.
Not at all.
Too good.
Maryland problems.
Yeah.
How we doing? Scott, good? Yes? No? Maybe so? No?
I don't know. Can you guys see me and hear me?
I can hear you, but your face is most certainly frozen.
All right, give me a second.
All good, bro. All good. Don't worry about it. We'll keep you right. We'll keep you in the background, Scotty. Let us know when you're good. But go ahead again. Continue.
Kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, we were just talking about not letting this kid get comfortable, and we talked about in Faithful Fanatics is every week the game's going to get more important for the Eagles, especially if they can string a couple wins together, and then it becomes literally playoff football. We're basically at that point of this is a playoff game. They need to win this game, and they cannot let.
We're a well-oiled machine over here with this show.
They cannot let this kid get comfortable and start picking him apart, like you mentioned. So we'll see how it goes. I think he dials up a bunch of pressure. I do. I think he learned. I shouldn't even say that. I hope he learned from his mistake last week of not doing it in the first half. And this week they come out, set the tone early, and maybe we'll see a blowout for once.
That's what this game should be, though. Like, here's the thing. I know we struggle with, are the Eagles a good team? Are they a horrible team? Because we've seen both ends of the stick this year. But I've seen them lay the wood to the New Orleans Saints. I've seen them, after 2 possessions, lay the wood to a beat-up Washington football team. I've seen them lay the wood to different teams over the course of the season. This is a game where there should be – here's my phrase for today, again. No questions. Leave no questions. Like, I had it and it's gone. I had it and it's gone.
Leave no doubt.
Leave it. There it is. There it is. Don't let them sit back and be like, okay, well, at this point of the game, if the Eagles, if the Giants did this, at any point, leave no doubt today. This has to be a big win by the Eagles. Scotty, are we back? We look clear. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, man. Having some issues, but just bear with me, right? Back in Maryland. Once I get back to Philly, we'll be good. Maryland just it just fogs everything up, but
fogs your memory.
What are we getting into?
A lot of drinking. No. So we were talking about what Jonathan Gannon will do versus what he should do today in terms of pressure on Jake Fromm. Will he sit back like we have seen him do time and time again and try to just let this front four create pressure on its own and get home? Because I was saying again, this is a playoff situation for one team, the home team. Do not let this inexperienced kid sit back in a clean pocket, go through all his reads today, and deliver the ball in a clean pocket and accurately. Do not allow that to happen. Throw another guy in the box. Bring up a safety here and there. Again, I'm not asking for it every play.
Yeah.
Just mix it in, dude. Throw different looks at this kid. Confuse him. He's not ready for this moment. I promise you, he's not. So what do you think Gannon will do? Gint has a little bit of optimism for himself today. He thinks Gannon may, dial up different pressures today.
I mean, I won't lie to you. Gut feeling, it feels like we'll probably see something similar to last week where just, once again, not a lot of pressure brought. Now, I agree with you, Dylan. I think that they should. You should bring it early and often. And the funny thing about this matchup is that the Giants will do that to Jalen Hurts. They will bring pressure. They will fill the box against him, just like they did last game, and they're going to force him to win by throwing it. And that's exactly what Gannon should do to Jake Fromm. Like, in reality, when we're talking about a third-string quarterback, we saw Fletcher Cox get into a groove last week. So, it's kind of – I almost wonder if that is misleading for Gannon, thinking that, maybe his guys can start to get off the ball just with having 4 go. We'll see how it plays out. I would like to see it switch up because when I look back to that last game against Washington football, it's like obviously the 10-point swing at the beginning of the game, the 2 turnovers was like the big talking point. But the only negative part aside from those 2 turnovers at the beginning, in my opinion, was the lack of pressure in that game and the lack of forcing backup quarterbacks into mistakes. We just need to be able to do that. We need to be able to force quarterbacks into mistakes. We need to create turnovers. And that's pretty much the big thing for me coming out of that Washington football game. Got to get pressure, got to turn up the intensity, turn up the aggressiveness. Don't let these guys get comfortable on offense, and in return, you're going to make it easier on your offense as well. So that was my one concern coming out of the Washington game. It's my one concern going into this game and throughout the stretch of this season. I think the offense has figured it out. They run the football well. You run football first. You get Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith involved, and let the rest, play itself out. But the defense is the one thing where I'm just like, I really don't know what this defense still is, right? They take advantage of bad offenses, and we're going to see a few of those over the next, these 2 weeks, right? So it's like, what are we going to learn really about this defense before if we are able to, scrape into the playoffs? Will we even learn anything about it? And that's kind of what I want to see from Gannon today, because we learn when you do something new. So do something new, bring some pressure and show us what this defense can really do in high stakes moments.
So when you were in and out, I said again, it's one coordinator we know has seemed to figure it out over the last month or two, and he's sticking to his guns and he's doing things well. The other being Jonathan Gannon, I don't know what I'm getting from him, not just on a week-to-week basis, a quarter-to-quarter basis, a half-to-half basis, guys. So, like, Scotty, to your point, we don't know what he's going to do. We don't know what this defense is going to do today. But I don't think you have to worry about them at all today. Like, you said it best at the end there. They take advantage of bad offenses and bad quarterback play. They've done it all year long. Against the upper echelon of quarterbacks, they look like I don't even know the Byron Maxwell Eagles, okay? Or if not, a little bit worse. Against bad offenses and quarterbacks, they look like the 85 Bears. So let's see what the defense can do today. I don't think you have to worry about them. The point about the turnovers is big, though, because the Eagles clearly lost the turnover battle the first time around. They have to change that today. So hopefully the defense can create some turnovers and give the offense some short fields. But let's talk about this offense, because that was the problem in the first loss against New York. 7 points on the board from Jalen Hurts and the offense. Could not move the ball really all day. Dallas Goedert had, I think, one catch. Scotty, Devontae Smith had maybe one or two catches. It was a horrible, horrible game for the Eagles offense a few weeks ago in New York. How can they change that?
Yeah, so 100% it was horrible offense. And I think it starts,
Other Phil.
I think it's just very simple, Dylan. Don't turn the ball over. In that game, if we just took three a couple times, we probably would have won that game. Like, if we could have just came away, some of those drives where Jalen Hurts has a miscue, throws some ridiculous, the decision-making by Jalen Hurts was ridiculous in that game. Now, they still down the stretch had chances to win, but I think the difference in that game has to be those 3 interceptions. And it's a very simple equation, right? Don't do that, and you win the game. Like, it's very simple in my mind, because I just think of those situations where they were in the red zone for at least one of those possessions where he throws the interception. And I believe there was 2 of them, actually, because there was one right before the half, I believe, where he throws an interception and erases points off the board. And, when you do that, that's obviously it's taking away from your offense, but also giving to their offense. And it's a double negative. So erase the turnovers. If Jalen Hurts can have a clean game today, and you want to see that even from last week, because once again, you come out, you lose the turnover battle last week in reality to Washington football team. And that's the only way that you could have possibly lost that game against a decimated team like that. So once again, today, you can't come out, you can't have 2 interceptions, you can't have an interception and a fumble, you can't have 3 interceptions. That stuff can't happen. You got to clean that up, take advantage of these bad teams, force them to win the game, which they will not be able to do, right? So you just have to have a clean game. I think that's the key here today when we're talking about the offense.
So again, my question was, how can the Eagles offense change what happened the first time around against the Giants?
Well, you just have to throw that game out the door. Sometimes you got to crumble up the box score, toss and act like it never happened.
Yeah,
you have to build off what he did last week. He looked really good last week. We can't deny that. So you throw the Giants game out the window and you build off what you did. Like Scotty mentioned, the freak interception's not going to happen again. The fumble can't happen. And to date back to the Giants game, even though I said we throw it out, just put points up on the board when you can. You can't let bad teams hang around. Bad quarterbacks, bad teams. Don't let them hang around. Try to make this.
You hear that, Sixers? You hear that?
Try to make this a 2-score game going into halftime or something of that nature, and keep giving the ball to your best players. I know that was something we didn't do for the first 6 weeks of the season.
Dallas Goedert had 1 catch the last time around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So keep giving the ball to your best players. It's like we're talking about kicking and screaming, giving the ball to the Italians. But Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert, keep the train moving and just blow this team out today. Really, the offense is too skilled for this team.
Yeah, so real quick. So, Jason, I'm with you on this comment. The rust we saw on Tuesday will not happen today. The Eagles and Jalen Hurts didn't play for how long? Obviously coming off the bye, then the game gets moved. Hurts missed the week before. Gotta love Sirianni's growth and having the team prepared. That's one thing that I've preached over the last 2 to 3 weeks on Turf Talk is the dude has figured it out, and every single week we keep saying he's calling a hell of a game. He's calling a great game. His ability to make adjustments and come in with a solid game plan. I have no questions as far as Nick Sirianni is concerned today. I'm not going into this one thinking Nick Sirianni could be a reason the Eagles offense loses us this game. I think he's figured it out. I think he's going to stick to his guns. I'm going to stop beating around the bush. This is it. This is how the Eagles changed the outcome of last time around.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts will build on the success of last week. I'm looking for a quick start today, says Jason. The point is, Scotty, Gint, we're still evaluating Jalen Hurts' future as the Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback. What I can't have is a horrible performance, a great performance, an okay performance, a good performance, a bad performance. You need to build off of what you did last week. You got your ass handed to you by this division rival, this shitty division rival last time out. They mocked you after. Scotty, they said, we knew if he threw the ball, we were running this game. They forced you into 3 turnovers. You need to build off of what you did last week. What I saw on Tuesday night is the game where I sit back and I go, this kid shows me something. I see it. I just need to see it more consistently. Let me continue to see what you did with your arm on Tuesday night. Let me continue to see you throw it all over the field. Let me continue to see you move the pocket, navigate the pocket. Don't just bail at the first sign of pressure today. This is playoff atmosphere. You're going to learn so much about Jalen Hurts in today's game from what he did last week, the last time out against the Giants, and trying to get this team to the postseason. This is a huge, huge game for him. And Gint, I think you said it to me the other day. Every single week is going to become the biggest game of this kid's career from here on out this season. Tuesday was the biggest game of his career. Guess what, guys? Today's the biggest game of his career. Now, I'm going to simply ask you, will Jalen Hurts show up today? Your prediction, your flat out prediction, if you believe in him to show up today.
I do, and I think Sirianni helps that case a lot with the way he's been calling games. Like, if we look at last week, the only thing the kid had to improve on was the way the game started. If he can come out, put a really good first quarter together, I see them sailing to a win. I see him having another good game. Now, if he channels his other side and he tries to become Superman, rolls out of the pocket in 0.2 seconds, then maybe he won't. But I do think today he stays composed and he plays a good game, a nice clean game. Might not even turn over the ball today.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, Scotty, before I throw this to you, because it's just something that again, you mentioned in Sirianni helping him out, right? Something that I noticed on Tuesday night that we didn't really discuss on Thursday is, yes, Nick Sirianni continued to run the ball first and run the ball a lot, right? And Jalen Hurts threw the ball 26 times. It was more run than pass, though. But in the middle of this game, when he really started moving the ball down the field, is it me or am I wrong, or did Sirianni kind of allow him to get into a rhythm with his arm in this game in ways that he hasn't in the past? So what I mean by that is, so first down was a handoff, right? Now we're in second down. Hurts makes a play with his arm. Play action out of the shotgun. Hurts makes a play with his arm. He had about 2 or 3 possessions in the middle of this game where he threw the ball 2 to 4 times in a row. Not run, pass, run, pass, run. He allowed this kid to get into a rhythm, and I think I think I saw confidence in the kid within the pocket when he's able to do it more often. He has to build off of that today. Scotty, will Jalen Hurts show up today?
Yeah, I think he 100% does. And I think, what I'm hoping for, best case scenario is that last week, or I was about to say last week, and it was literally on Tuesday. Literally Tuesday, I'm hoping that he kind of awoken something, like something came alive in him, and he kind of maybe the game slowed down for him a little bit finally, in the passing game. And now he's starting to see the field. He's starting to see the middle of the field. He's starting to make first, second, third reads. He's progressing a little bit better. So I'm hoping that the game is finally starting to slow down a little bit for him. And now he's able to process things better. And that's what we're seeing. That's what it looked like the last game. Mm-hmm. And obviously, Sirianni is just in a groove right now as far as play calling. Like his play, we were complaining about it so hard at the beginning of the season. It feels so smooth and fluid as we go throughout a game now, to the point where I was questioning, multiple times a game, like, is this what we should be doing on this now? Once in that Washington football game did I question the call. And that's something that I truly appreciate as a fan, because obviously we're not know-it-alls. We're not sitting here watching the tape like coaches do, but there's simple points in a game where you look at it and you're like, this doesn't make sense. I'm not seeing that.
There's nothing more annoying than, what are you doing?
What are you doing? We know this is wrong. You should know better. And that's not something that's happening right now, which is something that I'm loving. But as far as Jalen Hurts, I'm looking at this game, the New York Giants, you mentioned it, Dylan. It was the Eagles' worst performance. It was the worst performance of Jalen Hurts' career. He comes out, his next available game against the Washington football team has his best game of his career passing-wise at least. And what we are now looking at is the next milestone. It's like Gint said, every game is it's going to be the biggest game of his career from here on out. The New York Giants is that next milestone for Jalen Hurts to knock down. You got to go and beat this New York Giants team. I know it's Jake Fromm, but this defense is the problem. That defense locked our offense up last game. The defense wasn't the problem going against Daniel Jones against the Giants last game. So it's another milestone. I think he's going to achieve it today. I don't think it's going to be entirely too difficult for him, but it is just that. It's a milestone. Like you said, Dylan, these are building blocks of a foundation that we're trying to make here. And he just has to keep developing, keep progressing. And it's like you said, Dylan, that inconsistency. If he comes out and has a terrible game today, what do we say about Jalen Hurts? You know what I mean? You can't do that. That cannot happen. So I trust Jalen Hurts today. I think he's going to come out and have a big game. I think I agree with both of you. I think there's no reason, there's no excuses that he can't have a big game and be successful today.
So to my comments earlier in the week, what you're talking about, Scotty, is being so extreme after every bad performance and every great performance and every good performance. I think what plays into the two sides is so much up and down and so much inconsistency from this kid in, the 12, 13, however many starts he's now made in his career.
100%.
So again, I'm not going to come out if he doesn't show up today. I'm not going to come out tomorrow and I'll rip into him, but I'm not going to be over exaggerative and say he's not the guy, whatever.
Yeah.
But please don't do that. Please don't make me have to even consider it. Show me that I was wrong. That was a nice step on Tuesday night. Here's the next step, right? And keep building, because the end of the season is so very damn important. Predictions, Gint, what happens today? Jalen Hurts, Eagles. Talk to me.
I like what Jason said. I'm going with 28-10 as well. I think Miles Sanders also gets in the end zone today. As well as Dallas Goedert gets in. But I'm going with 28-10. Eagles win. They'll cruise to a win today.
Okay. Scotty.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's a cruise victory as well. I think, the Eagles offense, like I said, this is a milestone, not only for Jalen Hurts, but this offense only put 7 points on the board against the Giants last time they played. I think Nick Sirianni is looking directly at that. He's like, that's some bullshit. If Nick Sirianni is as confident as we believe in this offense and his game plan and what his beliefs are as a coach, he's going to come out and make a point to put some points on the boards today. I do agree. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be around 31-13. That's what I'm going to go with today. And I do agree. This isn't even for like funny and laughing or me predicting Miles Sanders gets a touchdown. Get him a touchdown.
Reward the man,
get
bro.
this man a touchdown.
Like, when he got
He
tackled,
deserves it. Like,
when he got tackled at the 1 the other night, I'm giving him the ball 4 times in a row. Like, my dude, you're getting your ass in the end zone. Like, I know, I get it. It's the team. It's the great. We got Jalen in the next play. Yay. Get this man's ass across the goal line, please. Please.
He's the only running back that that has actually ran the ball this year consistently. So Boston Scott has a touchdown. Jordan Howard has multiple touchdowns.
Miles.
Kenneth Gainwell has multiple touchdowns. Like,
Miles scores today. The fans won't boo. He won't have to worry about any boost today. All right. I'm going to go with a little bit more of a closer game. Okay. I'm going to go Birds 24, Giants 13. I still think they win by double digits. I still think the defense shows up and doesn't allow Jake Fromm to cruise up and down the field and put points on the board. And I think the offense performs better, but I don't think the offense is going to go and get 30. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully Nick Sirianni makes it a point. You embarrassed us last time. Now I'm about to embarrass you and cruise on a way to a victory. I do agree that Miles Sanders has 100 yards. I don't know. I almost said it, but that's a lot to ask, bro. That's 3 straight weeks with 100+ yards for Miles Sanders.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Miles goes for over 80 and a touchdown. And Darius Slay scores today. Notice how I didn't say what side of the ball, but Darius Slay scores today.
I like it.
All right. Let's move on to the rest of this.
Before we move on, I just wanted to throw it out there, just about the Giants, since we're talking about the Giants right now. They have said that they're going to go into next year with Daniel Jones as a quarterback, Joe Judge as the head coach. So just wanted to throw that out there for all the listeners.
That was a Christmas present for the Eagles.
Yeah, Christmas present for the Eagles. Thank you, Lord. It's a blessing on Christmas Day. We get another year of Joe Judge and Daniel Jones. So they obviously didn't see anything they didn't like this season, apparently.
Hey, that is A-okay by me. What is that?
With new cars.
What the hell?
It's ESPN playing some
new commercial.
Yeah, new sponsor. All right, Scotty, looking ahead at the rest of the slate today, and then we'll get into pigskin picks and get up on out of here. But there's some big-time games on today, dude. You got the AFC North battle in Cincinnati. You got the Ravens and the Bengals going at it. You got the AFC East battle, Bills, Patriots. This is kind of the Bills' last chance to scratch and claw and potentially have a chance to win that division. They're running out of time there. Obviously, we talked about the Eagles and the Giants. Rams, Vikings, just in terms of can the Rams keep rolling? And for the Eagles' playoff chances, a Vikings loss, no Dalvin Cook, that would be huge there. Sunday Night Football, NFC East. Obviously, Washington is a little more dwindled down now. As far as Eagles playoffs go, but still, you would like to see a Cowboys win tonight. It pains me to say. And then Steelers, Chiefs as well, dude. Steelers are still fighting for a playoff spot. Chiefs are trying to make this 8 in a row now. It's been 7 in a row. They're trying to make it 8 in a row. They're trying to lock up the number 1 seed in the AFC. Another one, Denver, Vegas division battle. Both fighting for a wild card spot in the AFC. Both 7-7. A lot of games that mean a lot today. It's just looking down if you guys have one that you have your eye on, and that you're going to be paying close attention to today.
I'll jump in first. I'll go with the Bills and Pats is the one that kind of obviously sticks out. I think if the Patriots win that game, they don't wrap it up necessarily.
But just about.
Actually, I think they might.
They might.
They would be up 2-0 on Buffalo in the season series, and I have a 2-game lead with 2 weeks left. So Buffalo's in must-win mode if they want to win that division, and the Pats are trying to lock that up. They took a loss to the Colts last week, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they respond.
Again, another point there is, I said this to Scotty on Thursday, not even just for the division. If Buffalo loses today and other things happen in the AFC, they're out of a playoff spot for the time being with 2 games left. And now you need other things to happen. Let me ask you guys this. I already asked Scotty Thursday, so again, I'll aim this to you and you pick the game. We talked about the Browns earlier being a disappointment, but we know what they've battled, right? The Bills. The Bills were a team a lot of people picked to be in the Super Bowl. win the Super Bowl. Josh Allen MVP, definitely AFC Championship, right? If they find themselves out of a playoff scenario, how big of a letdown, how big of a disappointment is that in Buffalo?
It has to be a huge one, right? You're talking about a team that a lot of people picked to go to the Super Bowl, a team that would dethrone Patrick Mahomes in the AFC. And if you don't even make the playoffs, that's
with not a lot of issues.
Huge disappointment. Yeah.
They didn't have the Browns struggles this year.
No, for sure. And just looking back on their losses, they kind of stuck to the script. Like the loss to the Jaguars kind of sticks out, but it would be an utter failure if they don't make the playoffs.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
right,
I think. I was just going to comment on the Bills. As far as them not making the playoffs, if they don't, it has to be. Obviously, I'm not some Bills historian, but this would have to be one of the biggest failures in Bills history. When you're talking about the caliber of the team that they have, they went out, they added pieces to it. They've had another year to develop together with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. And Josh Allen obviously has looked inconsistent this season. We thought he would be a perennial MVP candidate from here on out. He's not living up to that this season. And their defense, while it's been good most of the season, they just had these spotty games where they just give up a ton of rushing yards or get totally blown away in the pass. So inconsistent and utter, like Gint said, it's just an utter failure. And it's actually very disappointing as a casual NFL fan, just because I have no bone to pick Buffalo Bills. Like, if they have a very passionate fan base that I actually respect, and to see them kind of just flounder out like that, and then the Patriots are coming back up, and they're this highly touted, pristine organization again. So this game is absolutely huge. As far as what I'm looking at today, I was thinking about the Cowboys and Washington football, just because we do need the Cowboys to win that game, and honestly, it's in our best interest if the Cowboys win their next two games, secure their spot in the playoffs. That way they don't have to play their guys in week 18.
Give me that win.
Yeah, just give us the win, please, Dallas. We'll definitely appreciate it. And then we'll get to play on the playoffs first round, hopefully. So, no. But I'm looking at that AFC. What is it? AFC North. It's so weird that it's AFC North and the Patriots are AFC East, but you know how it goes. I'm looking at that Ravens and Bengals matchup. Obviously, both same record. Bengals came out and just demolished the Ravens in Baltimore the last time they played. Joe Burrow had probably his best game of the season. Uzoma had an incredible game. Joe Mixon had an incredible game. Obviously, Chase, Higgins, Boyd, that's an incredible trio they got. And you hit it earlier, Dylan, as far as this team, this Bengals team, they're just so ahead of schedule as far as their youth and what they've got going on there. And, we talked about the Browns earlier. You're looking at this Joe Burrow guy, right, and the weapons that they're surrounding him with. And now, as we get closer to the offseason, we get closer to the playoffs. If the Bengals make the playoffs this year, that alone is fine. Like, they don't even need to get a win in the playoffs in order to call that a successful season. If they win this division, I would be very worried if I'm Baltimore, if I'm Cleveland, if I'm Pittsburgh, because who do you have lined up on your roster? Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson, he's a perennial MVP candidate at this point. He's been banged up. If I'm specifically Cleveland and Pittsburgh, what's next? Because you got question marks at your quarterback position, the most important position in football, and you're looking at this Bengals team that is only going to get better. They're only going to get more experience. They got a young defense as well. Trey Hendricks on the other side, an all-pro. So they're only going to get more experience. They're only going to get, more players, more talent around them. Because if I'm the Bengals, I'm going into offseason, I'm stacking up on defense more, and I'm getting some offensive line help for Joe Burrow to protect him. So I love the Bengals in this game. I want them to win. And obviously the Ravens are down Lamar Jackson and Tyler Huntley. There's no reason the Bengals shouldn't win this game. But it's just that division thing, right? There's just always something weird that could happen. And I just don't want to see the Bengals do that today. And that's why I'm picking this as my kind of, game of the week. I want to see Joe Burrow go out there and take this division. It's right there for the taking. Go out there and take it.
Well, I'll take it a step further, Scotty. Forget just the division weirdness, battle, whatever you want to call it. It's been the story of the Bengals that we've talked about all year.
Yeah.
When the Bengals should win, They've dropped some bad games this year. They've looked very good. They're ahead of schedule, but they've dropped games they should have won this year. They'd already had this division pretty much locked up if they did not do those things earlier in the season. You said it. No Lamar Jackson, no backup. Not just that, they're missing pieces all over their defense. The Bengals at home, 7-point favorites. I think they're going to cover, but anytime they are favored, it's
worrisome.
Something happens. So we'll see. But it's definitely
looking at the Bengals too, the other side of this that makes this absolutely a must-win for them is that they do play Kansas City next week. So, you got to get this W. I doubt they're going to beat Kansas City if Kansas City plays their starters. So,
no, I'm with you. All right, looking down the rest of these games, and then we'll get into pigskin picks and get up out of here. I think I gotta agree with if Lamar was playing, that would probably be my game. But the fact that he's not, and I think it is going to be a little one-sided, I'm going to lean the tougher game here. The Bills-Patriots it's everything today for the Buffalo Bills. And again, another team you could argue is ahead of schedule. I know, greatest coach of all time. So it sounds silly to say that. That quarterback, those weapons, you want to talk about like lack of weapons in Cleveland? Try the Foxborough and look at their damn weapons, okay? Because Nelson Aguilar is arguably the number 1 or 2 wide receiver on that team. So it's a big game for both, but obviously all the weight of the pressure is on the Buffalo Bills today. If you want any chance of winning this division, which I don't even think is going to happen, you have to win today. But if you want to make the playoffs, you have to win today. And this one's in Foxborough. Guys, I'm just going to come out and say it. Gint broke it down pretty well. I don't think the Bills win today.
I do.
You do? I don't.
They're down a few receivers, too. They're down Cole Beasley and Gabriel Davis. So they got hit with the COVID bug.
What do you think, Gint?
It's going to be tough.
I don't know. The Patriots last week showed a lot of red flags. I know they played the Colts, and the Colts are playing good ball. The Bills aren't necessarily playing their best ball, but I still think they win this game. Also, I didn't even realize that people get the Bills rest of their schedule after this. They get the Falcons, then the Jets. So, I mean, if they win this one, they pretty much wrap up the division because I don't see them dropping either of those games, to be honest with you. So, I think they know what's on the line today, and I really don't see them just having an utter collapse and losing 2 to the Patriots this year and basically losing the division today.
I think Bill's got a chip on his shoulder, dude. I think he does. Like, we all know the horrible, horrible football we had to watch on Monday night in Buffalo, however many weeks ago, with that wind and whatever the hell went on there. And Bill, like, you saw the energy after the game. I know maybe some of it was because he won that type of game, right, and a little shorthanded. But I don't know, dude. I have a feeling that the Bills – I think the Bills are going out in a bad way this season because even if they win the final 2, which they will, get to your point with their remaining schedule, if they need help, you got to rely on help to even scratch and claw for the 7th seed. All right, let's move on to our pigskin picks here today. Scotty, I will throw it to you first. Gint, if you don't have any, just what's the name? Just head on over to the slate and grab 2. So what we do is we go favorite. You don't got to pick the spread outright. You just got to go. You just pick them outright, and then upset would be any team that is getting points. You think they can win outright today. So Scotty, I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, so my lock of the week is definitely going to be Chargers over Texans. Obviously, it's a 12.5-point spread. It's really, I mean, I guess you could go to the Buccaneers. They probably won't drop one against Carolina, especially after that showing last weekend. But I'm going to go ahead and stick with the Chargers and Texans today. I think Chargers, obviously, they're in the playoff hunt. They need to take care of business.
All right, Gint, who's your lock?
I'll take the Birds.
Look at you. You're an optimistic man today. It's the Christmas spirit. That's what it is, right?
Or it might be the Corona lights from last night. I don't
know. Or the shot he took at like 7:30 in the morning. All right, my lock. I do like both your picks. I'm going to do what I probably shouldn't do. And I'm going to say that the Cincinnati Bengals win and they'll even cover today. But I got the Bengals as my lock over the Ravens. Scotty, hit me with the upset, my dude.
Yeah, so the upset's tough today, guys. I was looking across the board, and I'm not liking a ton of these underdogs today. I'm going to go with probably
Don't take my pick.
I probably am. I'm taking the Jags over the Jets. Okay, if that's not your pick, fine. I am taking the Jags over the Jets today, though. I think they get back on the nod. Give the ball to James Robinson. I'm speaking from a fantasy playoff perspective here. Feed James Robinson and get this W. Make it easy on Trevor Lawrence. I think the Jets, they're just so up and down this season, but that one is probably a toss-up in reality. I'm just going to go with gut feeling there, though, and pick the Jags over the Jets.
Gint, who you got?
My line says the Bills are +1. So I'm I don't know if there's a stipulation on how many.
No, that's fair. No, you're good again.
I do like the Bills going into Foxborough.
You sneaky, sneaky bitch. See what he does, Scotty? He comes on and he just bamboozles all of us. All right. My upset for week 16. The team is on a roll. The home team they're done. They're out for the season. The younger team, they're hungrier. They want more. The Detroit Lions will win again in Atlanta over the Falcons, and Craig Reynolds gets in the end zone today.
I'm playing against him in fantasy.
No, what?
Yeah,
Craig Reynolds?
In my dynasty league.
No disrespect. Who picked up Craig?
The guy.
Well, it's not that, but it's like why? Like who's out that he had to go and pick up Craig?
I'll read you. He is down bad. He's missing. I know Fournette's one of them.
I was gonna say because I know you didn't draft Craig Reynolds.
He's got Fournette.
At what point did you have to go out and get him to start him?
Fournette, Eckler. He's not. He's starting Craig over Damian Williams. So
I respect it.
But shout out Craig. He said I was.
C-Ray. He's got to get in the end zone, bro. He led the NFL in rushing, almost led them 2 weeks ago, and led them in rushing last week. He's got to get in the end zone today. We talk about reward Booby, reward C-Ray today.
I hear that.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap up this Sunday edition of Turf Talk. By the way, shout out to our sponsors over at Manscaped, guys. So if you're new here, we are sponsored by Manscaped here at DSM Media. All of our shows are. So for Turf Talk, head on over to manscaped.com, plug in code TURF20. You can see it at the bottom of your screen right now for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Again, that is TURF20 on manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. For myself, for Scotty, for Gint, and for DSM Media, have a great Sunday and go Birds.
Go Birds.